Welcome, everybody. We're back more consistently than ever. I think this is the most episodes we've recorded at the beginning of the year ever.
High key.
High key.
Yeah.
We're back. This is the L&C podcast. I'm the C, Christian. This fellow is taking the L for Lorenzo. I think people like you more. That's why you're at the beginning. And just rolls off the tongue nicer. L and C. I don't know. CL, LC.
It's like the L is like the little, and you know what I'm saying? Because I start with the L and I end with a vowel, but you start with a C and you end with an N. It's a consonant sandwich, and it's like consonants are very ending. You know what I'm saying? But the vowels let you continue. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It feels like a punctuation.
Exactly. You know.
Thank you for being here, everybody. This podcast is many things, but foremost, it's a political show where we do on the ground reporting on global conflicts, just everything. Get your news here first. You come here for that. So please like, subscribe, do all that good jazz. We'll be back on Apple and Spotify at some point in the near future, but for now, YouTube is our home. It's never betrayed us.
It hasn't. It won't do it.
So watch our videos here. We have a guest. Guests are back. Again, the show's better than ever, and the guests are just getting better and better with each one. I mean, like the guests are like my children. The most recent one is easily my favorite, and today's is no exception. He is a remarkable comedian who he's an advocate for global issues, I'll say, to keep it vague so that we can launch in. He can explain more. He's just a gem. He's a gem. He's easily going to be. He's probably the first guest we've had who's most likely to have his own TV series or show or movie, something. You know, you just see it when you look at him. So without further ado, I'm pleased to bring on the pod with us to talk about all sorts of stuff. Mr. Mahmoud Jaber, what's going on, sir? How are you?
Well, thank you for that wonderful intro, Dad. That was really nice of you.
I'm pretty sure you're older than me, but okay.
I'm your most recent child, so
yeah,
I appreciate you having me on the podcast. It's nice to hang out with you too, Lorenzo.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and really thank you for doing this, because this is like a small thing we've been doing for, I want to say 4 years now, which is pretty crazy to think about, that I haven't done anything more consistently than this, and even still we might only record once every 2 months, but we're still out here.
It's in the works.
Oh, it's cool. You know, I've caught some episodes too. I think you had Delon and Mike Brown on and stuff. And it's cool to hear people talking about
we sure did.
The local scene and watch some content together. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and that's what I like to think of this as a time capsule, you know. And right now we're in just the worst timeline imaginable, I think, globally speaking. That's like so today what time is it? As of recording right now, it's 5:15. So we're about 3 hours away from whatever civilization an entire civilization will die. Is what we've heard, and I'm only laughing because I'm shitting myself. I'm shitting bricks right now. I don't know what to make of that, and I'll preface what we'll talk about today by saying you're a dual citizen, right? Are you a United States citizen? Yeah, okay, yeah. So you're a dual citizen of the U.S. and Lebanon. Lebanon is where you're from, where your family's at. And they've been, of course, dragged into the ongoing war. Israel has once again invaded, and they're carrying out pretty consistent strikes. I think there was another one today or late last night. I can't remember, but it's just devastation all around. And when I talked to you about coming on, I mainly wanted to get your take on what's happening now, and maybe you can inform our audience of the historical context from somebody who's been on the ground. I mean, you go back pretty frequently to visit, and again, you have family there currently.
Yeah, I moved here to DC from Lebanon 5 years ago. I was living there for around 15, 20 years, back and forth between the states, childhood here. So a lot of my life spent between Lebanon and America, and I think the most relevant thing to all Americans is that everything happening in Lebanon and Iran as well is something we're paying for. We're footing the bill. And I think more Americans are aware of that than ever, and critical and skeptical about that with good reason than ever. Yeah, if we could talk about the history of it, we could talk about the day-to-day of life right now. Could talk about the Lebanese passport and how it gets you into exotic, exciting countries like Turkey and North Korea. We could go anywhere you guys want to go.
Very
But
nice. I'd love to
I
go to
appreciate
North
you giving me some
Korea
space to talk.
with you someday if you'll be my guide.
Oh, Timmy Poo.
I would love that. I would love that.
We met doing comedy. You largely do stand up in and around DC. We met when you were doing Roll Aziz shows, the Funny Arabs series at the Kennedy Center and at the Wharf and all over the place. And I mean, just from moment one, I knew, this guy's the real deal. He's a killer comedian. How do you? I mean, they go hand in hand for a lot of people, but how do you in particular decide, I want to tell jokes about what's going on, about devastation and conflict and war?
It's a question that I ask myself whenever I'm drifting with my material, is what else can I talk about? Not you're trying to make people laugh at the end of the day. You're not trying to go in there on a soapbox and I have to deliver something important and wake people up and whatever. Because if you go in like that, people are going to tune out. People know and feel that things are wrong. And if you go in with that attitude about it, you're going to turn them off from your message. But the reality for me is so much of my life and my family is going through that. So there's not much else to talk about. Mm-hmm. And I do like to talk about observational things, like go to the dentist and they're trying to rip me off, or fucking, I had this experience in an Uber or whatever. We all are human. But especially when it's on a day-to-day basis and it's in the front lines of the front page of the New York Times and it's in everyone's face, it's the most important time to talk about it. So I'm trying to find the absurd things, the absurd, mundane, everyday things people can relate to in a moment of war when they might think, this is so far removed from me. This is something that happens over there. This is something I can't, wrap my head around. No, there's still everyday human things that happen there. So I don't know, I think that's the hardest, but maybe most rewarding place to try to write jokes.
Yeah, because
I'll be honest, a lot of times the jokes are terrible. A lot of times the jokes do not land at all. I've had people look at me like, I don't think you're ready to tell this joke. And I'm like, you're right. I gotta.
I'm sure they start out with a certain bitterness to them or an underlying negative tone because the subject matter is so intrinsically awful. But I mean, what you build from that, what your sets reflect is just what you're saying. You try to find a common ground for people here or for people far removed of the situation, of the devastation, for them to see that and be like, oh yeah, his dad is like mine, except his apartment complex is being bombed. He's got the same complaints about the tub or about the, how long the water's running.
Exactly. I'm who you would be if you were me, and vice versa. I think that's what we're all trying to do with whatever we're putting out into the world.
It's a great service. I don't think there's no better demonstration of common humanity than somebody being able to joke, to make jokes, to make dark humor, or to try to cope in the same ways somebody would cope when they miss their bus or when they wake up late. You know, you're coping over the fact that you can't walk down the street quite the same way as somebody here might. And as things kind of heat up here to a much lesser degree, but it's much more active than it was a couple years ago with these new initiatives from the Trump administration as far as anti-immigration or federal crackdowns on everything, people's speech, all of it. I think people will start to see your comedy, and they are actively. They're seeing you on Instagram, online, and they're going, okay, I'm seeing the parallels. The parallels are paralleling. What can we do to course correct before it's too late for us here? And we end up having a civil war or some kind of prolonged, dangerous conflict here at home. Man.
Yeah, I mean, when I moved here, it wasn't that long after that Trump got elected, and I saw a lot of comedians go to the stage with the same kind of bitterness and how do I talk about this, and feeling that they're in a nightmare that you're describing, that I come to the stage with to try to mine jokes out of. And what I think people are seeing is if it can happen there, it can happen here. And in a lot of ways, it does in invisible ways, like the exact policing methods and brutality that is inflicted on Palestinians, on Arab people in the Middle East. Those methods are then they're shared with the NYPD. They're shared with different police departments around America to train police forces in America to suppress protests and riots, and they're all interwoven and connected.
Sure.
Not to mention the whole "we're footing the bill" thing over there. So what I'm saying is, it's a really good time to be funny, and we have the best job in town, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be job security for the class clown or somebody that keeps everybody chipper, because
you gotta be one of the funniest ones though, because like if the funniest one has constant material, then like everyone's gonna pay attention to him and prefer him. If you the second guy and your shit's like only kind of funny, and you're trying to overpower the funnier guy, and your shit's not getting through because he's already got him captivated, and they're like, bruh, sit down while you doing shit when he got it covered. You know what I'm saying?
You never want to be the second best Lebanese comedian. You want to be number one.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of amazing Lebanese comedians who are definitely like have finessed their craft to a point that I'm not at, and I recognize and respect and learn from them. And I think the point is to not try to be better than somebody who happens to share similar points of view because they're from a similar place or background, but what is my point of view? What is something important I have to say that I want to talk about? Who am I? Like, if I don't have any life experience and I'm just like, I want to be the best comedian from this place, I'm constantly going to be comparing myself to that person and sounding like a cheap copy of them. You know what I mean?
I wonder too, what is the support system like in the community? Like I said, we met when you were doing shows catered to Arab crowds in the United States, particularly in the DC area. But what is the scene like for Arab Americans in comedy? Other comedians, are they very supportive of one another? Because I mean, you know when you go to a blanket open mic or a show, there's this kind of like, yes, we do all want to succeed. Yes, we want the show to sell out, and we want everybody to have a good time and kill, because when one person kills, the next person does, and so on. But still, there's always this
that's just like
underlying competitive feeling, or like, oh, I could have done better, or they're doing so well, I didn't crush as much. Yes. Are you saying that that's a little different, coming from a place of there's real shit going on, I'm just here to have fun and make people laugh and forget for a little while, and also ground everything?
I think there's two things. One is some comedians are not ready to talk about it, in the sense that They just haven't found what's funny to talk about, and I respect and understand that because it's very difficult. Or they're talking about it in a different, less direct way, maybe also because they're not ready to talk about it. Then there are people on the side of, like, when you run into an Arab American comedian at a show or a mic or whatever, how do we interact with each other? A lot of the time, the people you run into are from different cities, so it's a lot of catching up, it's a lot of checking on each other's families. Like, that's first and foremost. I think every Lebanese, Palestinian, Iraqi, Syrian, Egyptian comedian, everybody who's from the SWANA region, Southwest Asia, North Africa, formerly called the Middle East. We're trying to rebrand to SWANA so that we're not from Europe's point of view. We're Middle East from Europe's point of view. Everybody who's from that region. There you go. My sister educated me on this yesterday. I don't know if it'll catch on. I think these kind of acronym shifting things don't always work, but it's a worthwhile effort. Anyway, when you run into a comedian who's from this giant yellow swath, they'll be like, "How's your family doing?" And there's something really reassuring when you're in the normalcy of America with its convenience and its everyday continuity, that somebody's just like, "Hey, I see what's happening over there, and I want to talk to you." You kind of relax in a sense. Your body's like, okay, this person is sharing my reality.
Makes
So
sense.
that's good.
Makes sense.
Then there's some assholes. No, I'm just playing.
Hey, I mean, it's a cutthroat business. It's always a
I think so. I think there are people who are like, this is a business. My point of view is my brand, my image, and I'm not trying to share that with somebody else. I get that.
Yeah.
Everything's inherently competitive in one way or another, like, because, like, I mean, I guess some people are content, but, like, I feel like in a general sense, like, we all know that we'd be much happier if we were the very best at whatever we do, even if we're the best and we don't show it, because we know when you work hard at something, people only expect more, and that's not always the best thing. But, like, even if we know that we're, like, that damn good, show it or not, like, it just feels good just to know,
Mm-hmm. Like, what's the metric for the best to you? Like, I'm the best comedian or I'm the best podcaster. Like, what tells you you're the best? Everyone's
Like,
saying it to you. Your tickets you sold.
there's
What's the
that
thing?
too.
Well, to be clear, I want to just stress this: we're the worst at this medium. So podcasting, maybe not the metric we want to assess.
This is going great though. I'm having a good time.
Good. And that's how we measure this. We measure this by, have we had a good time? Is this going to make for a good time capsule later when we look back at it? Yeah. Am I going to make 3 or 4 clips out of this that do sort of numbers on YouTube Shorts or Reels or whatever, and people see it and follow you and go to your shows? That's what I look at this as. But when it comes to comedy, or when it comes to music, in my opinion, I feel like, am I improving constantly? The last show I did, was it better or worse than the show I'm doing tonight and the show I'm doing tomorrow? And am I getting consistent work because of my improvement? And are all these factors compounding into consistent growth? That's how I look at success at this, because I can't look at it as like, I'm going to be on Netflix tomorrow, because that's just not realistic. And that's part of that is luck. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know people. You got to meet Mr. Netflix himself, herself, themselves. I don't fucking know.
And what I can control is how much work I'm putting in and how much improvement I'm able to track on an actual scale of, like, I can see that the joke I'm doing here sucks. Let me cut it, or let me chop it up and rework it and make it work next time.
Yeah, I feel that. And I also see you doing it not just as a comedian, but as a musician too. So I respect that. Thanks, a lot.
Thank you. I'm trying to merge the two, and I feel more natural on stage when I'm doing both. So that's a lot of fun when I get to, like, do this thing I've done for like 15 years, which is trumpet playing. And then I get to do this thing I've only been doing for 3-4 years-ish, which is stand-up comedy, which I'm much less adept at. And so when I get to kind of bridge that divide and feel more comfy when I'm singing or playing or whatever, it's a lot more fun. But it also just turns into crowd work most of the time, which is not necessarily joke telling.
I love it, man. I was gonna say, Lorenzo, I don't know if you know, but last year we had a comedy show to raise funds for Lebanon after the 2024 war, which led to a ceasefire that didn't hold. But we were trying to raise funds and had Christian come on to play the Lebanese national anthem, play it by trumpet, and then he played a few classic Lebanese songs at the
Played
intermission as well.
Kifak Enta, is that the name of the song? And
Kifak Enta, which means "How are you?" Yeah, that's right.
And Liberu, those were.
To Beirut, the capital city. It's a ode to the capital city of Beirut by the legendary Fairuz, and Christian played the hell out of them, man. There were Lebanese people who were like misty-eyed, and he's like just absolutely pouring his soul into these songs he just learned. It was magic.
He does his thing. He look, boy, as the young ones say, trumpet hates to see him coming. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
Never heard that in my life, but y'all are welcome to glaze me up for as long as you like. I know you only have about 40 more minutes, but if you want to use
Man, I thought I vaguely remember you starting that show by asking everyone to stand up for the Lebanese national anthem, and then when a couple of people in the front row didn't stand up, you're like cowards, and then everybody got nervous and stood up.
I do remember that. I'm just trying to break the tension, because like I said, it's coming off the heels of something crazy, of something horrible going on. And yes, we're there to raise funds, we're there to make people laugh, but it's like I wouldn't put it past somebody if they want to sit down and be like, damn, I'm listening to this song and it's making me think about some awful shit right now, and about how people can't honor agreements, and a certain group of people that I'm pissed at right now. But I did say, I do remember that was funny, because it's like, y'all can't stand for 2 minutes and salute or something, or hand on the heart.
What they look like
bro, I think he didn't even give them time to stand up. I think he was just ready with it. He was like, please stand, cowards. Like, he just immediately called them out.
Yeah, that was a really fun show. I love doing stuff like that. I love stretching out, getting out of my comfort zone, and trying new things, new genres. The show I did the other night with our friend Lara Azar, who I'd love to have on the show at some point as well. She did a show where there was like an Indian jazz fusion group that came all the way down from New York. I mean, they came from all over the country. Members of this group convened just to do a little East Coast tour. And while I didn't play any of their music, I was sitting there like grooving. I wish I had gotten the invite to join them, because I really do love I love trying new genres. I love trying new things, and I think through doing that, that's where the improvement comes from, because I really have to put in work to get good at whatever this new thing is. I really have to go nose to the grindstone. I mean, when you gave me those songs, and I regret that I couldn't play a couple of them by, is it your cousin who wrote a couple of the songs you wanted me to play?
It was my brother-in-law. Yeah,
your brother-in-law. Excuse me. Yeah, I didn't prepare those.
It's okay.
Nearly
He's my
as
cousin
well.
Too. I'm sorry. No, he's not. Come on, I got you a little bit.
Yeah, that's,
Arabs. All right. Yeah,
that's messed up.
But you committed to playing. What was it? 3 other songs you never heard?
Yeah, no, and I'd love to try those at some point, because it seemed like those had a little more personal, sentimental value. And if you want to talk about your brother-in-law and kind of what he went through, given his identity, we could do that at any point as well. But I mean, there were a lot of songs where I was like, man, if I had more time, if I had like another month or something where I could practice in my little apartment here, I could get these. So I always look forward to those opportunities.
Good news is the war's back on.
Hey, so, yeah.
Another fundraiser's coming up.
Nice. Sure. Yes. This is just, yeah. I don't want this to be Yeah.
Lorenzo was looking at me like this when I was talking earlier. Now he's with it. Now he gets the vibe.
Lorenzo, you're a veteran. Where were your deployments?
I didn't deploy, actually.
You didn't deploy, right? So I mean, all the death you've seen has just been a consequence of living here.
No, high key, yeah, but it's a lot of death here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah, you've seen some stuff. I think we were both gonna. Well, I was gonna be in the military, and I didn't end up being in, and thankfully so, because I think I would still be in now, and I would have just been an enlisted person in the Marines, which they're deploying. As far as I know, that's still happening.
They go first, boy.
Yeah. First to fight. So glad that didn't happen. Everything works out for the best in the end. I want to talk about so many things, and like I said, this is going to be kind of unorganized because I didn't have enough time to make an outline like I normally do. But I wanted to ask you what brought you here 5 years ago. How did you end up in the U.S.?
First, my wife.
Mm-hmm.
She moved here after we met in high school in Lebanon. We weren't together at the time, but she moved to America for college, and then she started working here, and we stayed in touch. And 2020, there was the August Beirut port blast, which destroyed much of the city, including the office that I worked at, which they rebuilt. But it was kind of like the tipping point of the economic meltdown, and it just became like times became very hard there, and but that was also with the pandemic and whatnot. And there were people who were going through much harder times than I was and am now. But I say all that to say, for me, it was coming here to be with her, and also the situation in the country was difficult to plan a future in. She wanted to stay here, so I wanted to come here to be with her. I got a job here, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, makes sense. And the economic meltdown was brought on by what? I mean, in so many words, how would you explain that?
In a nutshell, the economy was a Ponzi scheme, and the bottom fell out, and they realized all of the investors' money that have been put into the Lebanese banking system for decades.
Yeah, I read up about that.
They'd been distributed out in these phony, embezzled, corrupt contracts to government ministries for decades, and all the politicians took the money, and it's gone. And it was about, I want to say it was $80 billion that
Yikes.
Lebanon is still in the hole. So there's millions of Lebanese people who put their life savings into the banking system and have not been able to touch that money for the last 7 years. That was 2019 when
because while it should have been insured, or while there should have been some sort of check in place to make sure everybody's money was always accessible, you can only embezzle so much before it comes crashing down. Was anybody indicted, or were there any consequences for the officials?
They arrested the central bank governor, Riyad Saleh, for a little bit, and then I think he posted a $5 trillion bail or something like that.
Oh, good for him.
The money.
He's basically, he was made to be the scapegoat, but he's gonna I think be okay. Yeah, there's really no specific fall guy or party or political organization that's to blame. It's the entire political ruling class of Lebanon that are complicit, and a lot of them, their families own the banks as well. So to implicate one would be to implicate all of them, which is why there's been no law or action passed to audit all of this and get to the bottom of where the losses are and how to distribute them. Like, everybody knows now that there's $80 billion in losses, and the IMF, the entire international community, has been pushing Lebanon to reform its banking system in order to give them the aid to help them move forward. But to do that, you need an audit, you need banking transparency, and you also need to, the losses need to go somewhere.
Right.
So the working class are going to eat a lot of it. And it's a question of how much the elite of the elite are going to eat of it, and whether any of the banks are going to be totally absorbed into a different type of bank or just done away with entirely.
Yeah,
There are
system.
experts on this matter who could speak to it much better than I could.
No, like I said, just a
being,
brief synopsis is great. That's enough for people to kind of understand. I mean, just like the housing market crash here.
Yeah, this is all in the background to the war. This is all on pause.
Yeah,
mind you.
You got to look at it like, yes, while conflict's happening, while wars occurring, there's still goings on economically that have to be stable, and for all of those things to sort of combust at once that's the devastation I'm talking about. Is people being completely and utterly displaced. It's refugees in that country being completely SOL, being completely hapless. It's a disaster. It's a disaster to say the least. I wonder.
Let me put it like this too. It's like, imagine you spent $1 to buy, I don't know, a Snickers bar. I don't even think they're $1 anymore. What are they? $2.50?
At least $1.25 minimum.
$1.25.
Depending where you go. Yeah.
Imagine within a few months if it was $125.
I'm waiting on it.
That's basically what happened to our currency. Yeah. And that also meant, instead of making whatever $3,000 a month, you went to making $300,000 a month. Imagine $300,000 a month, $200 or $300 a month. So that's what happened to a lot of people.
Shit.
And all this is obviously really funny too, which is why it's so good to be a comedian, because you get to joke about this stuff. And no, I say that to say this is the kind of stuff that when you're just talking to people, it leaves them feeling hopeless and helpless. Because it's like, I know that's happening there, and I know it's happening a lot of places, but I can't actually do anything about it. So the joke better be good.
Yeah, better be good. It better be poignant. It better be. It's a step in the right direction. You know, when people are allowed to joke, or when they feel like they can make jokes or poke fun at a subject, however taboo, it starts to open it up for that audit you're talking about. It starts to open it up for a reassessment. You know, what caused this to become a joke? What caused this legitimate system to become a laughing stock? And now we can break ground and begin anew. Hopefully, that's the idea with comedy. It's not, we don't want to actually, in most cases, elect a comedian to make the change. We don't want to have a clown in office like we do now in the United States. I think that's kind of putting the cart before the horse, or if that's the right analogy. It's the wrong. It's taking the wrong message away from from the comedy, or from the person's personality. You know, it's like, I don't want that as the leader. I'd like him. He can make fun of people and call people out and make a laughing stock of the system, and then let's get some legitimate college educated important people in here to rectify it.
I never thought about it like that, because I always thought it was a popularity contest, because basically, like, it kind of is.
Yes and no, but you want the popularity contest. You want the contestants to be qualified. You want the contestants.
No, none of them are qualified. It's just about whoever makes people laugh more, whoever makes people smile more.
It is now. Like, that's where we're headed.
Makes all of us smile at least once, just because of the shit he says is like, or does, like, just his actions and mannerisms. He's made all of us laugh at least once. You know what I'm saying? Just because something he said so, like, out, you know, just so ridiculous, you know.
Yeah, but that's the difference between a leader and a con man, right? A con man's goal is to get you to like him no matter what, so that he can rob you, so that he can get one over on you, which he successfully done.
We were talking about Trump.
Oh yeah, sorry, not. The same could be said of so many other people, so many world leaders who have had staying power, who have been around for a while, you know. But
we're not voting for leaders, we're voting for, it's a popularity contest, you know what I'm saying? Like, basically that's what everything is, really, you know what I'm saying? If we're gonna be honest about it.
What's the deal with I wanted to ask about the Lebanese government system, right? It's a parliament, right? They have to. Do they still have to have equal shared power across all the different religious factions? Right. There's Christian. There's a Christian party. There's a Shiite party. There is there a Sunni representation as well in Lebanon.
Yeah.
And then are there any? Is there a Jewish identity as well that has to be represented there?
There used to be. There used to be. I want to say in the thousands of Jewish people who lived in Lebanon before the founding of the state of Israel, before Zionism as a movement started in the late 1900s, sorry, 1800s. There was a Jewish population in Lebanon and in Palestine, but that was before the founding of the political state of Lebanon that we know today, just founded around 80 years ago. But yeah, it's meant to divide representation among the main sects, which are the Shiite Muslims, the Sunni Muslims, the various Christian
and
sects.
This system was,
Maronite,
like you said, 80 years ago established. It was established after the French were pushed out.
They
correct?
had a mandate in Lebanon. It's a little different than colonization, but it's basically the same thing. Like after the Great War, the French came in and took control under the guise of protecting the Christians of Lebanon. The great European powers split up the Middle East, and France got Lebanon. And they helped the Lebanese set up a lot of their political institutions and public institutions. And then once the Lebanese declared independence and pushed them out, they continued with their own.
And they declared independence when? Was that during World War I still, or World War II? I know it was
Second World War.
Okay, World War II. Yeah, so it was German occupation of France allowed Lebanon to declare its own independence, right?
Yeah, 1943.
So it's all fairly recent. This is not that far back that we're seeing like there's power grabs happening constantly. Now when
like there's people still.
Go ahead.
I was saying, there's probably people still alive through the changes. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. God willing, even through all of the constant bombardments.
Yeah.
So that's a recipe for some instability out of the gate. And I mean, after that,
I would say that the instability isn't by virtue of there being different sects, because there have been different sects living in the Levant, which is a subsect of the SWANA you'll see here, which is mainly Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Palestine. That's considered the Levant region. I'm pretty sure Iraq is part of it. Nope, we cut Iraq out. My bad. Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine.
Okay.
Anyway, there have been different sects, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, living in this part of the world for thousands of years together. And there are varying moments in history where there have been tensions and wars and whatnot, like any place in the world. Like, look at a map of Europe and.
Why do you look so shocked right now, Lorenzo? What's happening?
Fighting each other.
I mean, you look bug-eyed right now. You're like taking all this information in like a supercomputer. What's happening? I just looked at your face. Right.
I'm looking at all the maps. I'm like,
we just need one. We can look at this one on the right. Sorry that I just have Google Images pulled up. If I click on this, it's going to take us to some website that I don't trust. Or it's Wikipedia, which, I guess I trust that. Yeah, it's still small as fuck. Anyway,
the main source of instability and tension between the sects, between the various religions and sects, comes from the forced displacement of hundreds of thousands and eventually millions of Palestinians and now Lebanese, and the forced movement of these people to make way for the founding of the state of Israel. This is where a lot of it boils from, and it started before Israel was founded as a political state. Like as far back again as the late 1800s, there were movements in the Jewish community around the world to found a political state where Jewish people would be the majority and would be able to protect themselves from the persecution they're facing around the world, which is a fact. Jewish people have been facing discrimination and persecution and horrible things, including the Holocaust, for many, many years, hundreds, thousands of years.
And if I can
It wasn't
interject
until-
real quick, the fact that you'll make that distinction sets you apart from so many people in the political space who advocate for Lebanon, for instance, or for Palestine or Gaza, whichever you prefer to call it. You make that you outline that, you say that you concede that much is I think that it's got to start there, right? If it doesn't start there, then you lose all of the hyper conservative Zionist leaning people that
Arabs have been saying this for decades and decades. We don't hate Jewish people. We never hated Jewish people. The Europeans were the ones who holocausted them and genocided them and forced them to leave. The Arabs didn't do that. The Arabs lived with them. There were a lot of the Muslims and Christians of the Levant are direct descendants of Jews because those people just converted over time. There are direct traces from my people to the Jews who lived there thousands of years ago. We don't hate Jewish people. Nobody like there's anti-Semitism among any group of people, just like there's forms of racism among every group of people toward people who don't look like them.
Right.
I'm not debating that whatsoever. And again, what I'm contending, what I'm trying to establish some nuance with, is that for the political state of Israel, there's a very foundational belief that they are superior and they are afforded a level of victimhood and protection that is completely unique to them. And I'm saying, as human beings, we all have it innately within us to be horrible to each other or to be kind and good to each other. And that should be one of the lessons of the Holocaust, is that could happen to any group of people if we allow our humanity to go to such a low place, a terrible place.
I mean, it's happening all over the world. It's happening. Yeah. It's happening in China with the Uyghur Muslims. It's happening, I'm sure, all over the place in Africa. The white South Africans will have you believe it was happening to them for a period, which is bullshit in my opinion. But yes, there are always groups of people being persecuted because they look different or they practice different religions amongst themselves, or because they've quote unquote infiltrated a community and have tried to change it instead of, I guess, assimilating is what a lot of people would prefer. That's a tragic part about being a human, is our inability to live in cohesion and to accept one another for who you are, regardless of your creed or race or whatever. So you're saying then, and what people will posit is that the very virtue of Zionism is what's set into motion all of the constant fallout, because it has displaced an entire group of people in a region who then needed to migrate elsewhere, in many cases Iran and Lebanon and so on, all over this region. What's it called again? What are we calling it?
The Levant
region.
And I'll say this: Zionism as a concept, as a movement, didn't originally pick Israel or historic Palestine as their chosen destination. There were other places on the table, right? And in fact, the founding fathers of the movement of Zionism openly spoke about the need to displace the people wherever they went. They knew they would not be accepted to establish a state where they had superior rights and access to land and resources than the indigenous people there. They knew it would mean forcibly displacing people. So I'm bringing this all back to what it means for Lebanon and the neighbors of this new state that established itself violently and aggressively in 1948. When the state of Israel forced out 750,000 Palestinians from their historic homeland, from their villages, from the places they'd lived for thousands of years, those people went to Lebanon, they went to Syria, they went to Jordan, they went to Egypt, they went to the countries around them. And they believed they were going back. They believed it was a short interim war that they would be allowed to return, and they were not. The doors closed behind them, walls were set up, and the state of Israel said, you are now not of this place. Those people, as anyone would, wanted to go back home and eventually formed armed resistance and fought back to try to get back home. The majority of the armed resistance was in Lebanon. It was the Palestinian Liberation Organization, otherwise known as the PLO, who made their base in Lebanon and in some parts of Jordan and fought Israel from there. There were a lot of Lebanese who were sympathetic toward the Palestinians. A lot of the Muslim Lebanese were sympathetic, and there were a lot of Lebanese Christians who wanted nothing to do with it. They wanted nothing to do with the state of Israel. They knew that they were militarily backed. They wanted Lebanon to be neutral. And you can understand both sides of it. But over time, I'm talking about 1948 to the beginning of the Lebanese Civil War in 1975, this is what stirred up the tensions between the sects. It wasn't just, oh, you worship differently than me. You go to church on Sunday, I go to the mosque on Friday. Look, what a good Muslim I am. I thought that the mosque was on Monday. I'm kidding.
Hey.
It was real political.
You'll hear it in the comments.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got a huge Muslim following.
We will after this. We will. We're really getting deep into this, deeper than most people. I mean, deeper. I haven't. Listen, I took world history in high school. I think AP. Yeah, I took AP world history, and even I never had a grasp of all this, or we never. Middle East affairs, Levant region, never came up really. It was just
because they don't want you to know what you're paying for.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
all
not.
The books everywhere you go, all they doing is telling whatever lie they want to tell us. And then if you miseducate everybody in every different region, everything's a lie. Nothing makes sense. Everything's different, and that's just one more thing to fight over. Who's right when we're all wrong? You know what I'm saying? It makes sense. That's how you keep shit in check. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure there's a good analogy for it, but I won't be coming up with it. But like, you get what I'm saying, right?
I'd love to. I'd love to keep going through the timeline, but we only have like 15 minutes left with you, and
damn,
that's not necessarily. I know we only got to the beginning of the Civil War now, which is a very pivotal moment because it's the. Is this kind of the dissolvement of Jewish involvement in the country and of the parliamentary system, and more of a what would you describe the transition of government post Civil War?
Bad. But the Jewish Lebanese had already started leaving before then. Anyway, we don't have a lot of Jews left in Lebanon. I think it's like 20 max, if that. It's like very old people. There's a synagogue in Beirut, but it's like more of a archaeological site at this point, just to preserve.
Got you. Well, what do you think about the president now? Or is it a president in Lebanon?
Yeah. So they have a president who's always a Christian. There's a prime minister who's always a Sunni Muslim, and there's a Speaker of the House who's always a Shia Muslim. So that way you have all the sects represented, the major sects. There are other sects in Lebanon than that. And the president right now, Joseph Aoun, was the general of the military for a while, and he was sort of approved and blessed by the West to become the president. And my personal opinion is he's in an extremely difficult position to try to both protect Lebanese sovereign territory from an invasion and also be forced into a confrontation with Hezbollah, the militia that Iran is funded and trained and is fighting against Israel in the south of Lebanon. And that isn't to say he hasn't made, I think, especially recently, mistakes like vacating the south. The Lebanese army a few days ago actually left the south of Lebanon for Israel to invade because the Lebanese army is not actually an army that's capable of fighting Israel. It's an internal security force. It gets most of its funding from America, and America would never give the army weapons that could retaliate and fight against Israel, which they're also funding. So it's like, you're giving both sides their weapons, and the Lebanese army, the Israelis are giving fighter jets and nukes, and the Lebanese are like, I got some really nice boots coming for you guys. Just wait, they're sick. You know?
But the idea is, so Israel's attacking Lebanon. Why? Because it's harboring other factions that have been deemed terrorist factions. I mean, there are terror groups internationally, namely Hezbollah right now is the focus, right? And because you're saying Lebanon doesn't necessarily have a capable offensive military, these quote unquote terror groups are what get built up and what basically become proxy militias for defense, and then they'll sort of sandwich themselves in, whether people like it or not. That's kind of just the best they have. Religious beliefs, everything, they come in tow. Am I kind of describing that well? If I'm doing a bad job, you just tell me. You just smack me across the head.
No, it's a very layered issue, and I think you're trying to ask a very difficult question, and I don't think that you're saying anything wrong verbatim or anything like that. I think it's.
I guess my question is, how would you describe Hezbollah and its involvement, not only in Lebanon's defense because they're actively being invaded, but also in their with respect to the people of Lebanon, of all factions? How would you describe Hezbollah's involvement?
First, I would ask, when a people are invaded, whether they have the right to resist and respond to that, whether they have the right to violently, militarily respond to their occupation and their cleansing.
Right.
That's what created the PLO when those Palestinians I was talking about were expelled.
Yes.
That's what created Hamas in Gaza. And that's what created Hezbollah in the south of Lebanon when Israel invaded. People don't just spring up and organize themselves as terror groups to be like, hey, I want to terrorize Israel because all of a sudden I hate Jewish people. Nobody does that. Nobody feels that way. Nobody wants to spend their life fighting when they don't have to, right? So Israel's expansion and occupation of its neighbors, of the countries the international community has deemed it has borders with, Israel's violence against them has created these groups that are responding to them. So I would frame it that way first. I wouldn't say in and of ourselves, as Shia people in the 80s, we rose up and said, we hate you and we're going to come kill you and we're going to terrorize you. We hate America. Right. And that's linked to the Iranian Revolution, Islamic Revolution. There's a lot of different historical ties there. But they funded Hezbollah in the 80s as well as one of their proxies in South Lebanon. And they continue to fund them. It's very open and clear. Everybody knows this. So right now, fast forward from the 80s, where Hezbollah started as a organization meant to repel and fight back against the Israeli occupation, and did commit acts of terror, which they didn't claim responsibility for, but that's how they ended up on the International Terror Organization list. This might be part of the interview or the podcast that you don't want to create little clips out of.
Listen, this is a perspective, right? And what people what people will live and die by are cold hard facts and facts alone. And it's just so interesting to me how even those will be contorted, those will be twisted, those will be opinions become facts, is what I'm trying to say. People's opinions on who started what or what happened when becomes it's their fault because of such and such. The cause and effect doesn't start in any one place for any one group. And because of that, because of the staggered cause and effect chain, it seems it's apparently impossible to come to any cohesive consensus across all groups. That's why when people talk about a two-state solution, when people talk about can't we all just get along, hurt people, so on and so forth, it's like, well, we can't, because nobody can agree on who's responsible for doing what. If I had an Israeli person
for the two-state solution, the responsibility is with the more powerful, more well-funded,
which you would say is Israel, and which most people would agree.
It just is.
Myself included.
Factually Israel.
But when
is literally it is the two states that were agreed on by the international community, which Israel has systematically decimated by creating settlements that make it impossible for the two states to actually exist in a continuous way. Like if you look at a map of the West Bank today, where there is no Hamas, there is no terror organization firing rockets at Israel, there's no violent response really at a mass scale.
right.
There are, if you look at a map of it, it is these tiny dots of Palestinian enclaves. It doesn't exist as its own state by design. There are settlements breaking those places up, putting walls between them, cutting off water, so that if they ever reach some kind of a settlement agreement, the state will be so small and pathetic that it actually can't run itself. It can't be a sustained. This is Gaza. This is gone now. I'm talking about the West Bank.
Yeah, sorry. It's going to take me a second because there aren't too many people making maps of these regions that are constantly
That's all good.
Shifting.
That's all good. But to go back to your earlier point about how to get people get to be where they are, these organizations they call terror groups, some call resistance fighters, it depends on the point of view.
Right.
How do they get to be who they are? Well, how did the IDF become the force that it is? You can trace that back to the Holocaust.
And the language I use when I say terrorist group is, it is pointed. It's pointed because our nation has designated them as such, so that we can without any further assessment or reflection support Israel to a fault, support them at all costs.
I know you know this.
And that's a conditioning that we've all grown accustomed to. So yes, I'll refer to them these groups as resistance fighters.
I'm not asking you to say something that's going to get you in trouble. I'm not going to ask you to change your language for the sake of.
I'm not going to get in trouble. Because first of all, no one is gonna see this, no matter how much I share it. It's fine. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that a nuke drops later today, so I don't have to worry about this ever again.
So I'm glad you brought this up.
At what time? Like 10.
What is more terrifying than the leader of the most powerful military force in the world saying, "I'm going to end your civilization in an hour and 52 minutes"?
Nothing.
Right? No. Anyway,
we're like
back to my favorite topic in the last 6 minutes.
To Israel right now, we're like your kids at the playground after school, and it's kind of a big chubby kid, brat, taller than all the other kids, and he's kind of shoving everybody around, and he's talking about, I got the best toys, or I got the best Pokemon cards, I guess would be a good analogy for today. Some shit that doesn't matter, that only kids care about. My Lububu's better than yours, whatever. And then the other kids go, okay, whatever. Sure, man. Whatever you say. And then they take out theirs to compare, and they go, actually, I want your Lububu too, and that's mine now. And actually, I have a collection now. My collection's bigger than yours now, and y'all suck. And then the littler kids who are skinny and frail because they've been experiencing a famine and they've been kind of pushed around because the big kid has been eating everything. They go, well, let's get together and kick this kid's ass, and and show them that we're not here to get pushed around. And then they do, and then what the big kid does when he gets bruised up and a little beaten, he goes and gets dad or mom, in this case, with nuclear weapons, and says, hey, can you come just obliterate them for what they did to me and our family? Can you just wipe them off the face of the earth once and for all? Let's just get rid of them all. Can we just do that? Because if we get rid of them all, then we're good, right? There's no more problem. Yeah. And I get to have all the Lububus now and the Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? My boyfriend's laughing on the side because it's like you can't just say, get over here and take care of business for me after I royally fucked it up. And I don't know why. I don't know why we're footing the bill for it, Mahmoud. That's the question of the day. Why are we going to have to deal with all of this anguish because of this other party? I get that they're an important what do you call it? It's a strategic region for us to be involved in, but we have hitched our wagon to the brattiest, worst fucking fat fuck of a kid imaginable. And that's how I'll describe it without getting into too much trouble and letting you leave in 4 minutes. Is that accurate or not?
You took all the words out of my mouth. Pokemon, the boo-boos, that's...
I'm fucking done, ayo. Oh, shit. I'm actually glad we hit this topic because in my head, I was like, I want to ask if these terrorist groups are actually like terrorist groups, but I was like,
and that's what I was trying to get to. And then luckily you cut me off and you reframed it in the what I would say is the right way, because we've all been conditioned here in this country to think terrorist. And yes, bad things have happened on both sides, but to what degree? Please.
I have to say, I will not co-sign all the actions of any of the groups that we've talked about whatsoever. Yeah. I'm not saying any of these organizations are perfect or good or right in every single one of their actions. Like, as a member of the Shia community of Lebanon, I have a lot of criticisms of the group Hezbollah as in and of itself. But I am very, very pro-resistance and fighting against the Israeli invasion occupation of Lebanon.
Right.
But the organization itself, I have issues with the way it's conducted itself in Lebanon for the last 20, 30 years. But it's difficult to talk about those things because it's a little bit like a Jewish person criticizing Israel. They'll be ostracized by their community.
Sure.
They'll be considered a self-loathing Jew.
I get it.
So there's a lot of nuance to it. I just think that and you already touched on this, the framing of terrorists is intentional to completely shut down any of the rights people have to defend
to
themselves.
resist.
And
and we didn't even get to October 7th or any of that with Hamas because
we spent so much time talking about comedy, man. Fuck.
I know, way too much time. I mean, we might not have a world to live in a couple hours, so we'll see. We'll see if this guy's just bluffing or what. I was talking to another comedian who we've had on the podcast, or I think I talked to him alone, but he's a former military guy. He's like a current Fox News correspondent. Yeah, Joe, and he gave me his take. He thinks Trump's just bluffing, and he's the kind of guy to really box himself into a corner, and that's all this is. It's just all talk.
Joe goes and says that on Fox, Trump will see it, and we'll see if he's bluffing. Joe might have just ended the world.
He might have. That's what he said privately, right? So, and then he sent me a really good article, which I'll just include in the description because we don't have enough time to really talk about Iran versus Israel and how Lebanon caught strays, so to speak, because of that. I wanted to get your take on Iran. And I actually want to have an Iranian comedian come on who's in favor of this war for the liberation effort of it all. I wanted to get his explanation and see how realistic that really is after all of this, because it seems like this has just wrought so much devastation to the civilian population as well.
Who's coming on?
I don't know if he will, so I'll keep it a secret for now. But if he does, stay tuned, subscribe. You'll see the episode if it comes out. But that'll be another discussion for another day. But you are always welcome to come back.
Okay, but tell him, it's like hoping that they destroy your Labubu so that your Pokemon,
Right.
I think use that metaphor.
The Pokemon card is going to be more valuable than the Labubu, maybe, probably. So it's like you got to
there
choose.
We go.
You know what I'm saying?
Lorenzo, man. Take the words out of my mouth.
Hey.
I feel like there's a real estate analogy here, too, that we're missing. I feel like there's which is a lot of the motivation for this as well, is what's so sad and cynical is that it's like, well, we're going to wipe it out. We're going to wipe it out and rebuild it into hotels or whatever the AI video Trump made was. Yeah.
So for Home Alone, fucking 7 or some shit. Yeah.
Before you run, please plug everything that you have coming up, man. I know you have a heart out. We've been going for an hour. I really, really appreciate you doing this. And come back and explain more and get into anything you like next time. But please, what do you have coming up?
Thank you guys for giving me the space. I appreciate it a lot. Really, truly, you guys are like, it was a really good hang and good listeners and just like good conversationalists. So I appreciate you a lot. I've got a show coming up at Big Bear Cafe called If These Walls Could Joke. It's a storytelling show. It's all the way on the right. This Friday, Big Bear Cafe. That's the main thing.
Be there. We'll have a link in the
Hey.
description. Be there for that, and follow Mahmoud at Mahmoud Jobs on Instagram for all updates. Man, thank you for joining us. We normally do a little advice segment at the end, but we don't have any time, unfortunately. So thank you so much. Please come back.
Thank you, guys.
Please explain this shit to us until the cows come home, because clearly it's not getting through our skulls. We're still footing the bill.
Wait till you see what I say when we're not recording.
Ooh, look, that's what I'm.
No, I'm just playing.
I'm
I'm about
ready.
to say. You know what I'm saying?
Which will be right now. Thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe.
Thank you, guys.
Catch the next episode. We'll be back. Bye-bye.